very closely together, and of course together to bring together something like this and all these wonderful people. Psalm 86, verse 8 says, "Among the gods there is none like you, O Lord. No deeds can compare with yours. All the nations you have made will come and worship before you, O Lord. They will bring glory to your name, for you are great and do marvelous deeds. You alone are God." I love this evening of every year because we get to see the nations come together. We just ate food from the nations, and now we get to see culture and music and dance and all sorts of things from 29 different nations. And I think it gives us just a tiny little taste of what heaven might be like. So I hope you enjoy this taste of heaven, and I'm happy to invite the Asia group to come and start our evening.
Hello, we are singing for Korean music. We are a blessing to you and all of us. 안녕하세요.
When Koreans blessing each other, we make our hand like this. So please sing together and bless each other with our hands. Thank you.
세상 가득
Selamat malam.
Xin chào Việt Nam.
You can help us clap your hand. Hari ini hari Tuhan, hari kita bersukaria. Hari ini harinya Tuhan, hari kita bersukaria. Hari ini harinya Tuhan. दिल में ऐसे बस गए, जिंदगी भर के लिए राजा बन गए, जीवन में ऐसा काम कर गए, पाप मेरे श्राप मेरे चलते बन गए। दिल में ऐसे बस गए, जिंदगी भर के लिए राजा बन गए, जीवन में ऐसा काम कर गए, पाप मेरे श्राप मेरे चलते बन गए। जंजीरों में जो झगड़ा हुआ था, तोड़कर उनको आजाद है किया। डर के मैं जो जी रहा था, डर से मुझको ऐश ने खींच निकाला। जंजीरों में जो झगड़ा हुआ था, तोड़कर उनको आजाद है किया। तुम दिल में ऐसे बस गए, जिंदगी भर के लिए राजा बन गए, जीवन में ऐसा काम कर गए, पाप मेरे श्राप मेरे चलते बन गए।
Hello everyone, I would like to introduce continent Europe and I would like to introduce ourselves. Mark, Daniel and Thomas from Germany, Marina and Anton from Ukraine, and Oleg Gaich, myself from Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Hi, we're gonna sing international song in Russian, and there is words, you can read that. Расцветали яблони и груши, поплыли туманы над рекой. Выходила на берег Катюша, на высокий берег, на крутой. Выходила на берег Катюша, на высокий берег, на крутой. Выходила, песню заводила про степного сизого орла, про того, которого любила, про того, чьи письма берегла, про того, которого любила, про того, чьи письма берегла. Ой, ты песня, песенка девичья, ты лети за ясным солнцем край, и бойцу на дальнем пограничье от Катюши передать привет. И бойцу на дальнем пограничье от Катюши передать привет. Пусть он вспомнит девушку простую, пусть услышит, как она поет. Пусть ту землю бережет родную, а любовь Катюша сбережет. Пусть он землю бережет родную, а любовь Катюша сбережет. Расцветали яблони и груши, поплыли туманы над рекой. Выходила на берег Катюша, на высокий берег, на крутой. Выходила на берег Катюша, на высокий берег, на крутой.
Okay, coming to a German tradition, we like to tell our children tales. I don't know, maybe to scare them or something else. They are usually quite scary, so I hope that's okay. This one is of the 7 little goats. It is as follows. There was a goat who had 7 young kids. One day she wanted to go out into the forest to get food, and she said, "Dear children, be on guard against the wolf. When he comes in, he will eat all you with skin and hair." The villain often disguises himself, but by his rough voice and by his black feet you can easily recognize him. The little goats replied, "Dear mother, we will be careful. You can go into the woods without worry." Then the old woman bleated and set off confidently. It wasn't long before someone knocked on the front door. "Open up, you dear children, your mother is here and has brought something for each of you." But the goats heard at the rough voice that it was the wolf. "We don't open," they replied. "You're not our mother, she has a fine and lovely voice, but your voice is rough, you are the wolf." Then the wolf went to a grocer and bought a big piece of chalk. He ate all of it and made his voice fine with it. And he knocked on the door again and shouted, "Open up, you dear children. Your mother is here and has brought something for each of you." But the wolf had put his paw into the window, and so the goats saw that it was black, and they shouted, "We won't open, our mother has a white paw and not a black foot like you. You are the wolf." Then the wolf ran to a baker and said, "Oh, I hid my food, could you please wrap it in dough and spread flour over it?" Now the villain went to the front door the 3rd time and knocked and said, "Open up, children, your little mother has brought something for each of you." Then the wolf put his paw in the window, and when they saw that it was white, they thought it was all true and opened up the door, but who came in was the wolf. They were frightened and wanted to hide. One jumped under the table, the second into bed, the third into the oven, the fourth into the kitchen, the fifth under the cupboard, the sixth under the wash basin, and the 7th into the box of the clock. But the wolf found them all and gave short shrift. One by one he swallowed them all. Only the youngest in the box he did not find. The wolf lay down outside on the green meadow under the tree and began to sleep. Not long after that, the old goat returned from the forest. The front door was wide open. Table, chairs, and benches were knocked over. The wash bowl was in shards, blanket and pillow had been pulled out of bed. She looked for her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called them one by one, but no one answered. Finally, when she called for the youngest, a fine voice replied, "Dear mother, I am stuck in the box of the clock." She took it out and it told her that the wolf had come and eaten them all. The old goat cried endlessly over her children. Then she went out in her misery and the youngest kid ran with her. When she came to the meadow, the wolf lay there by the tree and snored so loud the branches were trembling. She looked at him from all sides and saw that something moved in his belly. "Oh dear," she thought, "should my poor children whom he had swallowed for dinner still be alive?" The little goat had to run home and fetch scissors, needles and thread. Then she cut the beast's belly open, and as soon as she had made a cut, a little goat had already stuck his head out, and as she continued to cut, all 6 jumped out one after another. They were all still alive and hadn't even been harmed. The monster had swallowed them all down full of greed. That was a joy. The old woman said, "Now go and look for stones to fill the belly of the animal while it is still asleep." Then the 7 goats hastily dragged the stones to him and put them in his stomach. The old woman sewed it up again quickly. When the wolf had slept in, he got on his feet, and because the stones in his stomach made him so thirsty, he wanted to go to a well and drink. But when he began to walk and move back and forth, the stones in his stomach clashed. Then he shouted, "What's rumbling around and rolling in my belly? I thought there were 6 goats, but it feels like stones." And when he came to the well and bent over the water and wanted to drink, the heavy stones pulled him in and he had to drown. When the 7 little goats saw this, they came running over and cried loudly, "The wolf is dead, the wolf is dead," and danced with their mother around the well with joy.
Alright, my name is Daniel. I will tell you now something about a German tradition we do once a year. And it's not that every people do it, but in my state at least, and in some others we do it. And that's about this little birch in front of a house, which you can see there. So during the night to the 1st of May every year, the boys put little trees like this in front of the girls' houses, which they would like to date. Which have been decorated before, as you can see there. And when we were, sorry, I have to adjust the microphone. Maybe like this. So when we were younger, we were used to pick up the trees on our shoulders, the ladder, and then just walk wherever it was. So basically the whole night. But last year we took a car to transport it. So you can see it there. We took several trees, so we do it together with friends and help each other. And the city provides those trees because they don't want people to cut the trees they planted for decoration next to the street. But I have to tell you, this was the first time we took the city's trees. Usually we went into the forest and cut our trees. That's the only reason why is that in the forest you can choose your own trees, the best tree, the tallest, the nicest tree, and this is what you want for your girl. And so last year it was during the time of graduation, so we had less time, we chose to do this. We showed up as the first people to, you could go back but never mind. So we showed up there as the first people, took the best ones and drove off, put them to a friend's house, all gathered together. Now this is the stuff which, like 1 minute for one tree, and it took us several hours to decorate every tree together. As I said, it was during graduation time, and the 2nd of May was the maths exams, but yeah, then we were kind of lucky the last year. The night before was a big storm, but the night we did it was only some rain. It was nice, and we started at around 12 midnight with the first tree. Came back at around 4 or 5 a.m. and yeah, each of our one's mission was completed, and we put one tree in front of the girls' home. That's the tradition I wanted to tell you.
Hello.